Alright, so the government's sending out stimulus checks faster than the economy can go. So in this video, we're gonna go over what can you get for your stimulus check. Now, one piece of advice before we continue with this, and I have to say this, If you're thinking about buying a PC with your full stimulus check, I just got a piece of advice for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, psst, come here. This thing on? Don't do it. All right, now that that's out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and look at what would, in my opinion, be the best build that you could get for $1,200, which should be about what people are getting for their stimulus checks. Again, don't buy a PC, but some people are gonna do it, so you might as well have help, right? All right, first things first. Now, we gotta choose a CPU, and right now, I can't think of a better choice than the Ryzen 5 3600, not the X. You don't really need the X. You're gonna get about the same performance out of the 3600 as you're gonna get out of the 3600X. They're so close to performance. The, you know, what extra 40 bucks you're gonna spend on that, or 30 bucks you're gonna spend, it's not gonna be worth it in my opinion. Also, one thing I just remembered, these prices are good as of April 18th, 2020. So if you're watching this in the future, this video is pretty much invalid. If you wanna look at the video and keep on with it just to see like the thought process that I go through, maybe help you out in the future of why you should buy and why I'm picking these parts, then by all means continue. But you know, you're way past the point of April 18th, 2020. This build's not gonna be priced right. So that's just a note for the future. Okay, now that I've mentioned that, we can get back to the build. Okay, so the reason I'm picking the 3600 as opposed to a 3700X or 3800X or even going Intel at this point is because there's really no better option at the price point. If you were a few $100 over the $1,200 mark, I would say go ahead and go for the 3700X. But with the money that we're allotted with this build and everything else that we have to buy, the 3600 is a good sweet spot. And this is a gaming PC now, so we're not really looking for a lot of threads, which you still could edit and do stuff with the 3600, but it's just not gonna be a workhorse like for heavy lifting type operations. If you're like running Blender, you're doing something like that's not what this is for anyways. This is a gaming PC, so that's what we're going with this build. Like I was saying, it's a 6-core processor, 12 threads, 3.6 gigahertz as its base clock. It can get, you know, up to 4.2 is really its max, and it'll probably get that with AMD's PBO. You don't even have to mess with AMD at this point. They pretty much overclock it for you. Now, moving on. Our motherboard is, that's right, you guessed it, the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max motherboard. Now, a lot of people choose this motherboard, and this is exactly why. I mean, it's $115. It's really the best motherboard that you can get in the B450 class, or even I would recommend it over a lot of X470 motherboards because the VRM is solid, supports the new Ryzen processors, and I mean the price, what you get for the price is perfect. I mean, there's really no other board to pick if you're going for bang for buck, and that's what I'm kind of going for here. Doesn't really make sense to go with a X570 motherboard. Maybe if they come out with like a B550 in the future or something like this board won't be as relevant, but as of right now, I mean, this is the board to go with, unless you just seriously need PCIe 4. Not many people do right now. It's working its way in. So yeah, I mean, that's why I chose it. I mean, it can handle the 3900X, you know. I mean, it's, if you want to upgrade in the future, you might not be able to overclock all the way. I don't know if the VRMs are solid enough for that. They might be. I don't really know. I'd like to test that out maybe one day, but yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really good board, and that's why a lot of people choose it. You see a lot of people recommending this board, and I'm going to recommend it too for this build. All right. So we got our motherboard and we got our processor. Now we're gonna go for RAM. This is like the best deal that I've seen for RAM in a while. This is the Patriot Viper 4 Blackout, 16 gigabytes at 3600 megahertz speed. Awesome for this price, for $84, and it's like $1 or $2 cheaper if you get just the regular ones that aren't the Blackout edition. But with the case we're gonna be going with and the board, I guess with the board you could really go either way, but I just really like the look of the Blackout, so that's why I chose them. It's a $2 difference, so it's not gonna make or break this build. So that's why I went with these. 3600 memory. The Ryzen family loves faster memory. Not as much as the first gen Ryzen does. The second gen Ryzen is a little better. It doesn't, not as dependent on the speed of your memory, but it still does like faster memory. So that's why we're gonna go with the 3600 memory. And I think with a $1,200 budget, you should definitely be going with 16 gigabytes. It should not be any 8 gigabyte builds out there with a $1,200 price point. So 16 gigabytes at 3600 megahertz, perfect. All right, now we got our whole platform out of the way. So the next thing we got to look at is storage. I'm going with the Team Group's MS30 512 gigabyte NVMe. Well, it's not NVMe, it's M.2 though. Being that we have $1,200 to spend here, I mean, with M.2s being so close to regular SSD prices now, we can afford to slide old M.2 in there so we don't have to deal with SATA cables and power cables and all that. You just slide it in, put a screw in, and you're done. That's it. I love it. And for the price of this is perfect. This is what we're going with, the Team Group MS30. Well, I haven't dealt with this M.2 specifically, but Team Group is a name that I know. I've used their products before. I trust that it's gonna be a decent SSD. Since I haven't dealt with this before, I am gonna go ahead and look over the read and write speeds, because I want, if anybody does end up buying this, I want you to know what you're getting and what kind of speed you can expect from this, which if you go with even just a regular SATA Rev 3 or M.2, you shouldn't really be able to tell the difference. I mean, I believe Linus Tech Tips did a test a while back, and nobody could really tell the difference. They were thinking that the Gen 4 was the SATA 3, and you can't really tell the difference. I mean, they're all pretty fast. So yeah, okay, see, so max sequential reads 530 megabits per second, max sequential writes up to 430. Gonna be perfectly fine. You're gonna have really fast speeds, and this thing says mean time between failures is 1,500,000 hours. So that's pretty good. So it supports smart. So yeah, this is a really good deal, and I would recommend this, especially at this price point. At $63, you really can't beat this. I mean, this is a great deal. So that's our storage out of the way. Now we can move on to the video card. I had to do a little looking around, and I found the best thing to go with here. $1,200 budget. You could go with a 2070 Super, but I just wanted to squeeze in a little more performance for our dollar. So we're gonna go with the MSI GeForce RTX 2080 8GB Gaming X Trio. Now, it's not a 2080 Super, but there's not a huge difference in the 2080 and the 2080 Super anyways. I mean, once you get past the 2070 Super, I mean, you're paying more and more money for less and less gained performance, if that makes any sense. A $1,200 budget, I think a 2080 8GB, especially from MSI, their GeForce, the Gaming X Trio, that's a beast of a card. I wish I could get my hands on one, but unfortunately, I'm broke as hell, so that ain't gonna happen no time soon. So anyways, yeah, that's our graphics card. I think that the build up to this point has been pretty basic, and this 2080 from MSI will just make this build, it'll make it shine that much more. All right, so for our case, I really had a hard time picking this one. There was a couple different qualifiers, and I ended up going with the NZXT H510 because it is a quality name brand case, and I feel like if you're spending $1,200, it should be a decent case. It shouldn't just be, you know, some old knockoff like a DIY case or something like that. Like, you can't go with it like with a $1,200 build. It's just it ain't right. I can't do it. Maybe you can. Hey, save some money. But yeah, the NZXT H510 ATX mid-tower case. It's a perfect case. It ain't nothing fancy. It just does what it needs you to do, and it does it while looking good. So that's the case that we're going with for this build. All right, so lastly, our power supply. Now, I went for the Thermaltake Smart BX1 650 watt 80 plus bronze certified power supply. I actually have in this computer sitting next to me right here a Thermaltake Smart. I think it's a 500 watt, but it's a decent power supply. It's nothing fancy. It's not modular, but it gets the job done. And at the price that we're getting it at, it's a good power supply. It's 80 plus bronze certified. I don't see anything wrong with this power supply, except I kind of don't like that it's not modular. But at the price that we're getting it at, you're not going to really find anything that's modular. Modulars usually at this wattage usually start somewhere around like the $90 to up to, it can go up to like $200 range depending on the brand. That is the power supply that we're going with for this. So that is the whole build, people. And like I was saying, the estimated wattage is 374, and even if you're overclocking your graphics card and you're overclocking your CPU, I mean, you're not gonna get, it's not gonna pull 650. And the Thermaltake Smart BX1, I checked some of the product packaging on it. It does have a I believe a 600 watt 12 volt rail, so it's a solid power supply. You're gonna be fine going with this whole setup here. I didn't get to add any more storage. So 512 gigabytes is a little bit low on the storage side, but if we were gonna go any bigger on that, we would have to sacrifice either on our, we would have to sacrifice on our graphics card. That's basically the only place you really want to take from. You could take, I guess, some money from your memory, but going down to like 3200 memory from 3600, you're not really gonna save that much money. You might find a deal that's like 10-15 bucks cheaper, but you know, you're not gonna find a $10-15 more 1 terabyte NVMe or SSD. So it's a little bit shy on the memory, but yeah, it'll get you by when you first buy it, and you know, a little later, maybe a month down the road, if you want to buy another SSD or add like a 2 terabyte hard drive to your build, you can do that, and you still have a solid graphics card that's gonna, you know, give you more bang for your buck. That is really going to give you more performance in the long run. And if you buy a 2070 Super now, you can't really just turn around and, okay, oh well, I want to upgrade my graphics card, but you can't upgrade your storage. Okay, so all of this is going to cost us a hefty price tag of $1,195.08, and it's probably before taxes. I didn't do taxes because I don't know what state you're going to be in, what country you're going to be in, but that is a real decent price for this computer. And this is a solid gaming computer. This right here, you're going to squeeze out even 4K on, you know, on lower rated games, but you definitely got like 1440p just locked down with this build right here. I think this is a solid build, and if you are just bound and determined to spend your whole $1,200 stimulus check, don't do it on a computer. This is the build that I personally would go with. That's it for the video today. I appreciate you guys coming by and checking out, you know, a poor man's ideas on what he would get if he wasn't a broke son of a gun. And I really hope you liked the video. If you did, then you know what to do. Turn that thumbs up blue. Get subscribed if you want more tech content that I'll be rolling out in the future. I got a water cooled build coming up. I mentioned that in the last video. Go watch that if you know, feel a little spicy. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and I will see you guys in